after this video today, I'm probably done with Bunny. Not in the way of like done with playing the Descendant or anything like that. Actually, I think Bunny's one of the funnest Descendants to play in the game, and I had the most fun like kitting this out to the nines. But this video is kind of like a follow-up on my AoE Bunny video, which I made a couple of days back, and this I would consider the final form. I've literally done everything that I wanted to increase this to the maximum level of power that I can at this point in time. And this version of Bunny allows you to do every single piece of content in the game except for void intercept bosses and some of the toughest, hardest enemies that you need to kill in the boss, version. So the point is that this is my farming setup. This is what I do all of my material farming with. This is what I farm hard dungeons with. This is what I basically do all of the content with that needs to be repeated and therefore needs to be done as fast as possible and as efficient as possible. I also use this to level all my weapons, and it's a sad thing for me that I've essentially leveled this character to the point where I don't want to reset and level anymore, because in a way it kind of like feels like I'm wasting XP now. But still, this is by far the most efficient way for me to level and to basically gather, everything. I want to go through everything in the build, from your choices on the Descendant mods, but also like the external components in the Reactor. But the bottom line as an identity for me, before we dive into that for Bunny, is that it's clear that this character is essential basically to you progressing into the deep late game, just due to the fact that it streamlines so much of like the monotonous activity in the game, and that is rerunning everything because of two reasons. First of all, the character is blisteringly fast, so you are doing everything at 2 to 3 times the speed that any other character can do it. And then also because of the way that you can gear it, which I will share with you in this video, allows you to clear out massive areas of the map without having to aim your gun at it, shoot anything, by simply just fucking running through it. And that's what makes this so efficient. So if you're looking for something like that you can basically just switch your brain off and just farm a whole bunch of content like super fast, go no further. This is exactly what you're looking for. I will mention that there is a follow-up video, one last one coming to this, where I will share the bossing setup, which is the version that you should be using if you want to use Bunny on void intercept bosses. You have to kit her completely different. There's some key differences between a mobbing version, aka a farming version of Bunny, and then a boss version. And personally, I also think that you can only really build like a insane boss version of Bunny by having the ultimate version of her, and therefore that's why I'm doing it in a separate video. But in any case, enough fucking preamble and everything like that. When we look at this first, we are gonna quickly talk about the weapon. But the idea of this build is that you never have to fire your gun unless you are putting a couple of bullets into a tough enemy, and so therefore we want to give ourselves the best possible weapon to do that. Now, I think a submachine gun suits Bunny just fine, and of course you are handed a thunder cage in the game. It's a perfect weapon for Bunny. It depends on what reactor you have, because whichever gun you mount is the one that should be activating your reactor and giving you the full 160% of skill power. I personally am using Python because Python, first of all, is fucking insane, and because my reactor is mountable on a Python. When it comes to the actual mods on the Python, this is by far not a fucking, juice to the gills version of the Python. This requires a lot of work still, but this thing absolutely barbecues stuff. Like, you are going to fry shit straight off the rip with this, as you just put bullets into something that doesn't want to die to your lightning. So when it comes to the actual build of it, the standard, I would say, trifecta of every weapon in the game is rifling, reinforcement, action, reaction, and fire rate up. That's because it basically gives you a whole bunch of fire rate percent, meaning you shoot faster, and it's giving you a whole bunch of firearm attack, just meaning your bullets hit harder, and a little bit of recoil, but that's not that bad. Then the thing with Python specifically, and this would not be true if we were talking about Thunder Cage, maybe in the case of Thunder Cage you can dip more into crit and crit damage, but when it comes to Python, Python has a increased damage profile against weak targets, or against weak points rather. So you want to be really dipping into that, because you can get very close to almost a 4 times multiplier on weak point damage. Multiplier, sorry, that's terrible pronunciation. on weak point damage, and so you really want to be leveraging that. So weak point sight is fantastic on here. Then you have a very small mag size on Python, so I like to give myself additional bullets here. By using expand weapon charge and weapon tuning, we can get closer to 50-55 bullets in a mag, which is a lot juicier than the original 25 that the gun starts out in. And last but certainly not least, leaning further more into the whole weak point situation, is weak point detection here, giving us 1% of firearm attack, but another 20% of weak point damage, which is dope. And then this is mostly just in here because I also use this weapon for Freyna, but this says that when attacking enemies inflicted with poison, you also get an increase in your firearm attack percentage here. So this is a free slot. You can put in whatever you want there. But as long as you, honestly though, as long as you have rifling reinforcement, action, reaction, and fire rate up in, you know, you're good to go. But again, like I said, any weapon honestly will do. You can use a tamer. You can use a thunder cage, anything. Just the point is you need to make sure that this enables your reactor, because you need to have as much spell damage, as much skill damage on board as you can, and that's what the reactor is for. Then when we talk about the Descendant module, well, let's do reactor and external components first, and then we'll finish off with Descendant module. So when it comes to the reactor itself, as I mentioned, what you're looking for is something that enables you to do 160% damage. So whether it is a Python or a thunder cage, anything like that. And of course, at any given time, you can farm this shit. You can target farm this. So if you don't have the right reactor and you're looking for something, then you can simply just open up the map and go here and then just say difficulty level rewards at the bottom here. For me, it's F on my keyboard. This is a way for you to essentially filter and find out where on the map you can go to target farm a specific reactor that you're looking for. Okay, and this changes weekly. So you don't have to worry about that forever. You will have to be doing fucking Moonlight Lake because you're looking for a specific reactor. This shit cycles weekly, so you should absolutely come back here and filter on. So let's say, for example, we wanted to find a reactor that interacts with the Python or the thunder cage or something like that, and that's the right one for us. So let's say, for example, we wanted to look for the perfect reactor for us, right? What we would do is we would go to electric, because of course we deal electric damage, and then our main breadwinner here, our main ability that's dealing damage is power emissions. It's that circle of lightning around you, and that is a singular skill. All right, so that's then gonna let us see that we can go to Fallen Arc to get electric with impact rounds on a singular. We can go to Observatory to get electric with high power rounds on a singular, or we can go to Forward Base to get electric with general rounds on a singular. This is the one that we want, because Python shoots general rounds, so does what's his name, so does Thunder Cage. So this is the one that you want. So you would just go farm the shit out of this area and basically just look through those reactors and look for the one that's going to win for you. The name of that reactor, by the way, is a Tingling Singularity Reactor, and as you can see here, the two skills that are boosted is Electric Skill Power Boost Ratio and Singular Skill Power Boost Ratio. That's the juice right there. Then in terms of the stuff that you have at the bottom there, additional effect range is fantastic because it increases the range of it. Critical hit rate, skill critical hit rate is really good as well, because you crit quite a lot with emissions, and this will just mean more crits. You can also get critical damage increase, which is also fantastic. You can get singular power boost increase, which is good. You can get electric skill power boost, which is good. All of those are fantastic. What you're not looking for is additional damage to Colossus, anything like that, because this is your farming build. This is not the build that you're going to go attack a Colossus with. When it comes to your components, what you're looking for is the Supernova set, and this is farmable off the Executioner, the hard boss Executioner, and you can basically get 2 pieces of these to drop every time you kill him, and then the point is just to farm out 4 pieces. Now mine are by far not optimized, but they get the job done, because the point is you want the 2nd set bonus and you want the 4 set bonus. The 4 set bonus gives you fusion skill power modifier, which doesn't fucking matter. We don't want that. But what we do want is we want this additional thunderbolt that essentially falls on the ground every once in a while when something is electrified, and this deals 100% of skill power modifier at a 50% chance. So this is going to be another little, and you can see in the footage that's been running in the background, you can see every once in a while you'll see this additional lighting that basically hits the ground, and this is this effect that's basically doing that. Now in terms of the auxiliary stats that you want on here, of course the problem with Bunny's set pieces, right, with the Supernova set, is 2 of them roll with max shield. You can see here The first one on components is always a fixed roll. It's always the fucking same thing. It's not going to roll something different. And this is what's a little bit limiting about this set, and something that I don't enjoy, is that the first two pieces always roll max shield, right? That's not great. We don't want that, but it's okay. As long as we get max HP and a resistance as our other two, or max defense and a resistance, we're good to go. So in this case here, I've got HP recovery modifier. So this would be a piece that I would swap out for, you know, max defense or something like that if I could get it. And then in the case here, firearm proficiency gain modifier. Again, don't really want that. Want like, you know, max HP or something like that. Here we have defense, which is fantastic. And here we also have defense, and we have max shield again here, which would be much better if it was max HP, and then of course a resistance of some kind. But however, we do have fire resistance on here, we do have chill resistance on here, and we do have electric resistance on here. So the only thing we're really missing is toxic resistance, and that means you're a little bit, you know, susceptible to toxic damage. But you can absolutely get that to roll on your processor, and then you're basically good to go. Then last but certainly not least, we're going to be talking about Descendant modules. So over here, the point is, as I mentioned, this is entirely end game. This is, you've spent a lot of time leveling this up. You can see I've enabled several of these with catalysts. But the point is, starting us off here, you need a sub ability. So whether you're using kick or short sword, or a change to your grappling hook or something like that, I'm using shock punch because I don't really give a shit. But the point is, this is important for you to put in because this actually gives you module capacity back. So get this in there, whichever one you choose. And first of all, skill expansion is dope on Bunny, because the thing is, you want your skills to, you want that pulse of lightning emissions. I keep saying power emissions, but I'm pretty sure you guys know what I mean. You want lightning emission to be the area that it covers to be as wide as possible. Now by default its radius is 7 meters, but you can see my radius is 20 meters, so I've almost tripled it up. Now by the way, the max you can get it to is 21 meters, because it's 300% is the max increase. So we're basically 1 meter under the max, but 20 meters is fucking massive. You are electrocuting shit in another room if you're coming and running, which is what makes this build so dope, because a lot of the times you're killing shit on the way to an objective. So as you're coming into a room, you've already blasted everything in the room, and as you clean up that room and pick up all the shit they dropped, you're already killing stuff in the next room. It's super dope, and it works really well. Then amplification control gives us more range, and it's these two together that get us to that 20 meters. So if you're only using skill expansion, that's going to get you over here, it's going to get you to 14 meters radius instead of 7. But then if you use amplification, you get that extra little bit, right? And then it also gives you max shield here, which don't really care for that much, but it's okay as an additional effect here. You know, why not? The beggars can't be choosers, right? Then electric specialist is a no-brainer. We deal electric damage. This makes us deal more electric damage, so you know, let's go. Increased HP is our first defensive mod. You need this in hard difficulty because Bunny will get one-tapped because you run past stuff the whole time. So you oftentimes you're going to get hit, or you're going to get shot, or you're going to run through fire, you're going to run through something that's going to, you know, hit you. And the problem is you're going to get one-tapped a lot. So you want to be increasing your survivability. And this alongside your components is basically how you do that. Now, focus on singular is another one that helps our power emissions. Yeah, I said it again. Our lightning emissions deal more damage, right? So the point is, focus on singular increases our singular skill power modifier, and our skill cooldown also comes down by a little bit. This is the other thing that's super important, is you want your lightning emissions to always be on, right? And so the best thing for you to do here is to simultaneously reduce the cooldown, but also increase the duration, right? So in the case of this here, if you use the mods which I have here, you don't have to fuck with the duration at all, because we're dropping the cooldown to the point where it basically blankets the duration. So you can see that the duration by default of lightning emission is 20 seconds. We are dropping our cooldown all the way to 20.5. So you have a 0.5 that it's not active, which is pretty much the time that the thing just basically takes to pop up and be available. So that's fine. This is, you know, 99% uptime, and it's fantastic. Then when it comes to our second defensive mod is increased defense. Now, for example, in the case of you only still messing around in normal difficulty and having not progressed to hard difficulty, or if you only choose to farm, on normal difficulty. You don't need increased HP and increased defense. You can pick one of the two. I would take the HP and basically maybe leave the defense. But the point is, both of these are required for hard. It is what it is. Emergency measures gives us I keep saying spell, but skill critical hit rate, meaning this is like crit for your skills, right? And then also critical hit damage. So when your skills do crit, they actually hit for more. So if we quickly just go back here and we look at our overall stats for Bunny, with all of the mods and everything that I have equipped, I have a 31.25% chance to critical hit with a skill. That's 1 in every 3 almost, right? And then when I do crit, I do 1.6% additional damage, which is this could be better, but it's not that bad, because the point is, remember that you electrocute a bunch of stuff. We are speed farming, so we're attacking large groups of mods, like 5, 6, 7, 8 mobs are coming at you, and so this will basically just decimate those groups. But it's through the combination of those mods that we have such a high crit rate and are able to crit so often. So then skill insight gives us even more skill critical hit rate, and it's basically these two together which gives us that high profile of critical hit chance on our skills. Then nimble fingers reduces our skill cooldowns by 25.6%. all right, and this is the reason why our cooldown is this good with lightning emissions. You have to be running nimble fingers. It also reduces the cooldown for all of your other stuff, but the main point is it gets your cooldown super low for lightning emission, and that's the point. Now this, alongside frugal mindset, which again just gives you a little bit more range, another 22.2%. This reduces our skill cost as well. This is what lets us have basically 100% uptime on lightning emissions. It means that we have enough electricity cost to be able to cast it when the time is right. As you can see, we're dropping our cost from 266 to 243, and we also have a massive 20-meter radius on this lightning emission, which then allows us to blanket the battlefield and therefore just kill everything on the screen by one activation. This is the reason why this build cleans up and farms so fast. Then as the last part of the video, I also just want to mention that you can get even more cute when it comes to using this as a farming build by basically swapping out some of your external components. So if I go over here, I'll show you what I mean. So here I have exactly the same setup. The only difference here is I've swapped out the 4 external components. All right. These 4 external components are focused on farming. So my survivability goes down a little bit. I have to play a little bit more careful, and I kind of like have to know what I'm doing. But with Bunny, this is easy because you're so fast and you can essentially dart in between stuff, and because you're dealing so much additional skill damage that stuff usually doesn't get a chance to deal damage to you, you can basically do this. But the point is, each one of these external components can roll with modifiers which make your farming better. In the case of your auxiliary power, you can get more Kuiper and more module drop rate on here, which is like huge. On your sensor, you can get more XP and you can get more consumables to drop. Consumables, of course, being pretty much all of the mats and shit in the game, right? So, but more interestingly, this shit also counts as a consumable. So these code breakers, which you can use with Enzo to unlock for massive amounts of Kuiper, also drop more regularly with that. So it's kind of like really, really cool. All right. Then we also have character XP increase, which is of course a self-explanatory. Then on our memory, we can have firearm proficiency gain, which means your weapons level up quicker, and gold drop rate increase, more money. Yes. And then last but not least, we also have item acquisition distance on our processor, which by default, the pickup radius of your characters are abysmal. It's basically you have to run right over it to pick something up. This alleviates some of that. I mean, it's not the case of like you can pick something up from like a couple of meters away, but it is noticeable that you can actually run in between 2 groups of loot and it'll actually sort of like hoover it up. And this is super important for Kuiper and gold, because a lot of the times people leave this shit on the ground because you don't make another pass. And with Bunny moving as fast as she does, oftentimes you'll kill something and the shit will shoot over your head and fall behind you and you'll run past it. So you got to come back, and this pickup radius is going to help you just suck everything up. And then this also has an equipment drop rate increase modifier, which just in general means more equipment will drop for you as well. So this is a way for you to further on juice up your farming, and this is something that you can over time also just swap in, and you'll see the effect of this as you start accumulating more and more material with this farm build. Have fun. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. This was a super long one, so I appreciate it. If you're still here, let me know in the comments down below how you've built your bunny. Are you still trying to, build it out, anything like that? Or tell me which other character you prefer to play rather than bunny, because I know a lot of people, bunny gets a lot of hate, and I kind of get it. But it's always interesting for me to understand what people's mains are and why they choose to rather play that instead of bunny. Tons more of the First Descendant content coming to the channel. As I said, there will be another video which will close our chapter on bunny, and this will be a bossing version of this. There will be some critical changes that we make to the build that will allow us to kill void bosses super fast as well, which is another way that you can of course play bunny. But other than that, it's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Till next video, fucking cheers.